Hi, my name is Ron Ernst. I'm the head football coach here at Ripon College, and I've been here for 29 glorious years. I knew instantaneously that this was going to be my job. But when I got here and I started to meet the people here were genuinely just really nice people. And they were really interested in seeing you be successful, seeing you be happy, doing the right things when the right things needed to be done. That's what really kind of attracted me to this place, was just the genuine sincerity of the people here and how they treated others. The values that we have here, number one, it's about the kids. Everything that we do should be to benefit the kids that we interact with every day, whether we're teaching them in the classroom, whether we're coaching them on the field. College is about preparing yourself through these 4 years for the next 40, 50, 60 years of your life. And what we do here, I think, better than anybody, is how we prepare these young people for life beyond college. I think that's a tremendous value here, is how we treat people. And you can see that in the alumni, the relationships that we have with our alumni. So I think this is a big, big part of what we do here. The experience that I want our players to have within this team is very similar to a family. If people will recall back to their own families, if you have brothers, if you have sisters, sometimes you fight like cats and dogs with your brothers and sisters, and man, I'll tell you what, you're going to get after that person, and there are some days where you just can't even stand to be in the same room with your brother or sister. But have anybody else in the community say something bad about your brother or sister, and you will be there to defend them to the death. Same type of thing that we want in our kids in our program is to recognize that if one of your teammates is struggling, you got to have his back, because that's what a family member does. And I think we have successfully done that because when you take a look again at the alumni, and when you get together with groups of guys, you know, after the season, whether it be 1 or 5 or 10 or 15 years later, they're best friends. And so I believe Ripon College and our football program really helped to shape that.
I think Kelly's got one more thing for you quick.
Hey dear, how you doing?
Good.
How you doing?
How are you?
Good, good.
It's a great day to be a Red Hawk.
Oh, it's a great. It's always a great day to be a Red Hawk. How you doing? Doing good?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Thank
Feeling
you.
good?
Yeah.
All right, very good.
So we were talking about special connections. We thought we'd ask Niki to come in and just sit and chat with you for a little bit about what that connection's like.
My heart is fluttering. This is good. This is great.
Awesome.
This is great.
So we lied to you again, Ron, because actually Niki's not here to chat. She actually had something that she wanted to share with you. So.
Dear Coach Ernst, I want to tell you about how you changed my life, not once, but twice. The first time you changed my life was when I met a man named Dan Sutter. It was senior year here at Ripon, and while I knew of Dan a little bit, I didn't really know him personally. But when he fell behind in classes after his grandmother passed away, he asked me if I would help him get caught up. Between learning about him through those interactions and my teammate Kim, always talking about what an awesome guy he was, I actually decided to make the first move and ask him out. Watching me on that date at Roadhouse Pizza, eating half of our pizza on my own right in front of him, well, I think that was love at first sight for Dan.
Absolutely.
As I got to know Dan better, I proceeded to fall deeper in love with him, and I want you to know that you definitely played a part in that. So much of what defined me as a person came through in my time as an athlete at Ripon and my relationship with Coach Johnson. As time went by, I realized that Dan had had the same experience with you as his football coach. Dan had the utmost respect for you and your staff. You were one of his most influential mentors, and like Coach Johnson did for me, you shaped Dan so much. You held him to high standards, taught him about things like respect, loyalty, accountability, and teamwork. And most importantly, you were always there for him when he needed advice or guidance in life. Even in moments when we would argue, Dan and I would turn to a piece of advice you once gave him about needing to check your ego at the door. We would say that phrase, focus on our love for each other, and solve the problem together. You probably thought you were teaching Dan to be a successful football player, but what you were teaching him was to be a good person, a good husband, and the best teammate in life I could ever ask for. And man, did I love that teammate. I loved being married to Dan Sutter. We were so madly in love with each other and had the time of our lives together. Spending time with our family and friends, going to Packers, Brewers, Badger games, playing cards, traveling, concerts. Every day we were together, we lived life to the fullest. And it was amazing. But then Dan got sick. I will never forget November 11th, 2011, when the MRI showed Dan had a tumor on his brainstem. Doctors said it was inoperable and that he had 6 months to a year to live. I was devastated. But you helped teach him to be, Dan was convinced nothing could beat us. He consoled me in the moment, and then we moved forward, determined that as a team, we'd conquer the challenge together. Dan's teammates often described him as one of the toughest competitors they'd ever face. And as he battled for nearly 2 years, I saw why. What he learned from you on that football field became the core of how we approached that battle with his disease. Attacking every day, determined to win. Staying positive, even when the hospital visits seemed never-ending, and even when he lost his ability to walk. And all the while, remaining a good teammate to me and having the two of us battle it together. Unfortunately, we didn't win that battle. As you know, Dan passed away on May 21st, 2013. A day which, along with the weeks that followed, are still so much of a blur to me. It was so moving to see how many people came out to celebrate Dan's life and express what he had meant to them. But for me, I didn't know how I would carry on without my friend, my husband, and my teammate. But that's when you changed my life for a second time. When Dan passed away, so many people stepped in to help me through that difficult time. But one pair who has been by my side every step of the way are Curtis and Molly Maurer. Molly was my basketball teammate at Ripon, and Curtis played football with Dan under you as their coach. When Dan was sick, Curtis spent so many hours away from his own family to sit with Dan and make sure he was okay. The bond they formed on your football field could never be broken, and it was during that time together that Dan made Curtis promise he'd look after me once Dan was gone. I think Dan knew that if there was anybody he could count on, it was a former teammate. He knew that the lessons they learned from you as a coach, the lessons that had helped Dan fight his disease so valiantly, would be the same lessons that guaranteed that Curtis and Molly would make sure I was going to be okay. That Dan could count on his former teammate to look after his new teammate. Something Curtis and Molly, along with so many other members of our Ripon family, have done every single day since. In every moment of need, and every moment in between. One of the members of that family, your family, has been there for me to make sure I was okay. Something I don't know what I'd ever do without. I loved every minute of my life with Dan Sutter. Thank you. And when he passed away, I didn't know how I'd carry on. But within that love for Dan, and within that strength I found to keep going, one common thread has been you. You showed these young men what it meant to be good football players and good teammates. And in the process, you taught them how to be even better friends, mentors, and partners to those they love. I can't thank you enough for that. You changed my life, Coach Ernst, and you've changed the lives of so many more people who have played for you, known you as a person, or simply encountered those of us you've influenced. We are all teammates, and like you taught us, we will always have each other's backs. Sincerely, Niki Sutter.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't deserve this.
Thank you. Oh.
I don't know what to say. I'm just shocked by this. I mean, I oftentimes consider myself the lucky one that these guys came into my life, and I can remember recruiting every single one of them, not knowing what the future held. But boy, I tell you what, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. I mean, I just really don't. I want to treat these kids the way I want my sons to be treated, and how I treat my sons is, hey, this is what's going to happen in life. You're going to have good days and bad days, and good years and bad years, but that's life. You know, life is about this. And with all of the young men that I've had come through my program, there are so many different types of personalities and needs for our guys. I tried to deal with each man individually, and I hope that they saw that, and I hope they appreciated that.